feel slightly hurt because I've offered this lovely gentleman who's joining us now a bottle of our, is what it named, Janella? Repellent. And he has flatly, I don't know how to feel.
I object. I feel bad.
Actually, he's very smart. Recently launched.
At least he could have pretended.
Operation Birthright initiative will provide identity registration support for persons without legal and physical identification documents. And here to tell us more about this, Minister without Portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Floyd Green. Good morning.
Morning,
Everybody. What's so funny?
Good to be here. No, I think you guys, the last thing that you did was very entertaining. Very entertaining. I heard you trying to describe smell and.
So anyway, let's get an update. Operation Birthright. You've been talking about this for a little while, but the folks who have not heard what you've been saying, talk to us a little bit about what Operation Birthright is, first of all.
Yeah, so Operation Birthright is the government's first comprehensive program to find people without birth certificates and those who cannot afford to get birth certificates, or those who are in a socio-economic band, and to provide birth certificates for them free of cost. I think we all, during our journey of life, come across people who unfortunately still don't have birth certificates. And the real hard part is that normally you recognize this issue when they need to do something, when they need to interact with government. A child is being registered in school, and then they'll come to their member of parliament, and the mother will often say, boy, they don't have any birth certificate, or they try to sign up for like social security benefit or PATH program, and then you just realize how fundamental the birth certificate is to start a lot of these government processes. But a lot of people, even though they don't have it, they still can't afford to access it. So we want to make that easier.
You know what's funny? As you speak, I remember a story my dad told me. So my dad was born in a particular month of the year. His mother did not have the penny, 1 cent, to register him that month. So she registered him 2 months later.
Yeah.
So, you know, you hear about people not being able to afford birth certificates, and it sometimes seems like, what?
Yeah.
But it really is a thing. Today,
it is, and you know, Capri did a study a couple of years ago where they looked at the amount of people who do not have birth certificates, and they estimate that about 4% of our population don't have birth certificates. And what's worse, what they found is that of the people who register with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disability, only 15% of them had a birth certificate. So it's actually more dire for our disabled community, and then we really plan to target them.
And that was my question about the data. I'm sure that when you thought about this plan, or your team thought about this plan, it was driven by the data.
Yeah, it was strongly driven by the data. So that Capri study helped a lot, and clearly we saw anecdotal evidence, but Capri was one of the first to say these are the numbers that we're looking at. Now, clearly, you know, of that number, some of them can afford, you know, because there is a process. If you don't have a birth certificate, you can go to the RGD and you can pay. So we're trying to find those who cannot afford. And clearly, there are stories, you know, up to a couple months ago, going through the newspaper and saw a story of a young man, Orlando, in St. Catherine, who is deaf and was out of school for 2 years. Because he never had any birth certificate. And when COVID came, and there was a requirement that they register online, so we had to go through the process and to help. So it is strongly driven by data, and that's why we will focus a lot on the lowest socioeconomic bands. So we have set a criteria, and also on our disabled community. We're really going to be working with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities to find those people and ensure they get birth certificates.
And so in the first instance, you're looking at 11,000 people.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
So in the first instance, we said we want to target 11,000 people, and we hope to reach that target over the next year or so. And again, this is looking at the budget that we have, looking at the need, right? And the plan is really to go out into the communities. We're going to be working with a number of different groups, and I can tell you how it works. So clearly there's a criteria.
Multi-pronged approach.
Yeah, so there's a criteria, and the criteria is you have to be 1 and above. You have to be working.
You have to be, wait, did you say
1 year old?
Okay.
You have to be working $37,000 or less in a month, right? And then you have to be recommended by authorized official. So we did that to kind of put some safeguards in the process. But what we've done is to have a significant list of authorized officials. So yes, your member of parliament can recommend you, your justice of the peace, but also your pastor, your doctor, your dentist, a public official, somebody from the Salvation Army, somebody from the counselors, those who register poor, the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. So we've expanded the authorized list to try and capture everybody. Because and even starting the conversation, so many people reach out to me, just normal people, to say, listen, boy, I know this story. I came across this gentleman who I was trying to help. He never dropped out of school, things like that. So we have a lot of those stories.
A lot of people don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So where do you start? Because for the folks who don't have a birth certificate, this is going to seem like a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And you are trying to show them that it does not have to be.
No,
and it is not.
It does not have to be. So there are multiple ways. They can go online, for those who can go online, at NIDSFacts, NIDSFACTS.com, Operation Birthright. And you could download the form, fill it out, and you could do it for somebody.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
which is
because a lot
very
of those
important.
folks probably
You
don't
could
have
do it
access.
for somebody and drop it at any RGD branch or Registrar's General Department, or you can walk into the branch, collect a form. The other thing that we'll be doing is we will be going into the communities.
Excellent.
So we will be going on the road, going into areas, calling out people using our RGD mobile and saying, listen, you can sign up for Operation Birthright, because we know we will have to walk some people through it.
So have people started signing up? What have you been seeing?
The response has been extremely good, to be honest. I think people are relieved. It's one of those problems, as I said, you have it, you live with it, but when you really need it, that's when it becomes severe. So now that people get that opportunity, we've had a lot of people reaching out to us, reaching out to the RGD. People have started signing up, and we're in the process, I would say, of starting to process the first few. We have given each MP the chance to recommend 60 persons, right? And we expect that will help us along the journey to find some of those hard-to-reach people. And we do appreciate, outside of our disabled community, a lot of our older citizens also have this challenge, because we have, since the 90s, gotten much better at registration and first free birth certificate and things of that nature. So we've seen good response thus far. I think we just have to keep telling the word, because we don't want people to only come when they're in dire need.
So to be clear, people have already started signing up for it.
Yeah.
But you aren't able to say how many just yet.
No. It would be a little too early, but definitely people have reached out to me, people have reached out to the RGD, our MPs have gotten those nomination forms, right? So we launched it on the 9th of September, and it started to get activated the week after. So I figure in another month we should see what's the take-up, and then we will look to see if we need to, how intense we need to go on the road to find these people, because we know they're out there, right? Or if they're coming to us.
So you said 11,000, but are you prepared to take more?
Well, I've always looked at it as phase one, right? I think you have to put a budget in place, you have to set a target, and then, of course, if we meet the target and if we exceed the target in terms of if we see the response being so great, then we have to go.
I feel you're going to get
I think one of the
lot
things
more than
that this helps us to do also is sometimes people take for granted that there is a process. There is a process at the RGD. It does cost about $12,000 to get that birth certificate. So we're also going to put out that information for those that tell people.
12 grand now?
Yeah, for those people, and tell them don't wait until you need it.
Yeah.
Because that's when sometimes all the bills come on you, right? So you can structure it and get it done. But definitely, if we see that the interest is so wide, we will definitely extend.
So the folks who can't afford to and you don't have one, you're encouraging them to do so.
Yeah, I'm encouraging them to do so, but if you can't afford
it, Operation
Birthright is here for you.
It really does open up a whole new, it's like folks feel like you have to live in the shadows because you just don't.
Absolutely.
It opens up a whole new world for you when you have your birth paper in your hand.
And what you see, we've given a number, but it's approximate, because it's a hard figure to tie down. Because unfortunately, some of those people literally, they don't have any form of identification.
Nothing.
Right? So, some of them have a birth certificate but don't have identity. Some of them just don't. So you can't capture them. Some of our schools have over the years, been flexible and tried to get them into school. So maybe you can find them on a school record, but unfortunately, there's some people that, and you know, in this, we've just celebrated 60 years of independence. You know, how do you really say you have a piece of Jamaica if not even one, that fundamental document? So I want to fix that, and we're going to fix that.
And you've tied this all with the NIDS program. Talk to us about the importance.
It goes together. You know, being able to identify people really helps to set up efficient systems. And we've set up a lot of inefficient systems in Jamaica because of not having a central database identity. We've forced people to have to use two identifiers or to get a JP to say who they are. And people are outside of systems that should help them, that were designed for them. So it's tied together because the first step is your birth certificate. Because when you go to sign up for your national identification card, you will have to present your birth certificate as well as those foundation documents for us to verify that you are who you say you are. So if you don't ever have that, it's like you're really at a disadvantage. But the second step clearly is to say, let's get identified. Let's make our systems more efficient. Let's design a system that when you go and say that you are who you are, you don't have to question it.
Report card before we go. How are we doing with NIDS? Updates? What's on
so
green?
far, so
what's
good.
on amber? What's on...
We have finished our card production center, and that we finished in the time frame that we said we would. We had said that by the end of September we would finish our first enrollment site, and the team has told me that it will be finished this week. We are going through the process now of putting some regulations that we will carry to Parliament, and I have given a commitment that we will share those before going to Parliament. Once we get those regulations done, we should be ready to go. So we're on track to start the pilot before the end of this year. Already we've started some test sprints, and it's looking good. I think Jamaicans will be very proud of our national identification system.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Minister. Appreciate it. We have a nice gift bag before you leave with some mosquito repellent for you to take with you. Just a token of our appreciation for being here. Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister, the Honourable Floyd Green. More on Smile when we return from this break. We'll be right back. Thank you so much.